Kev, or some stuff you would love to talk about?
I'm good. I'm still getting through this as best as anybody can. I miss sports. I miss the socialization. I heard you yesterday talking about, guys that just want to go down to the pub and hammer 6 pints, and it's not like I would be doing that on any given day either. But just the fact that you can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't go out and watch live events, which I normally like doing from the pub. The adjustments and the not knowing, I think, are some of the bigger issues of the day. You were saying 4 to 8 weeks on government services. I don't see how we can get through this. I mean, we have to. We have no choice, but I don't know how we can do it.
Great question. I can't answer it, but we can definitely talk about it.
Kids, John Corey talking about taking down the basketball courts in the city of Toronto, closing the parks. Yeah. I understand it, but, this is, jail looks good from here.
Until you're there.
Yeah, until you're there. I've done 39 hard hours, dude. Believe me, nobody wants to be there.
Okay, we're ready to go here. I'm going to get started. We'll count you down. 3, 2. Hi, friends. Welcome to the Dean Blundell Show. My name is Dean. Today, we're fortunate enough to be able to have some video attached with the podcast, and very thankful to join a guy I have not seen in real life for it's got to be 12 years, the thirsty traveler, our boy and yours, Mr. Kevin Brosh. How are you, sir?
Good, Mr. Blundell. How are you? I'm going to do this. I know you're not partaking right now, but I sure am. So happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you. No, I don't begrudge anybody that likes to medicate. What do you got there? Let's start there, and then we'll get into why our lives are seemingly miserable.
Little Italian Pinot Grigio gets you through the early part of the day. Might move on to a more full-bodied red later on tonight with dinner.
Right.
I would say it's not a normal day, but it kind of is a normal day. I would probably have a couple of drinks every day, depending on what my schedule holds, which now is, I have one thing to do. I have a list of thing to do, and it's pretty much take a daily walk to the LCBO and get myself a bottle of wine or a couple of beers and get my steps in,
How many you got today?
Right now, it was good today. I went out early, walked the dog. I got 9,103. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Yesterday, this is no word of a lie because I was working. Yesterday, 704 steps. Is that bad?
That's a butt day. That's
a
cheat day for your ass.
Yeah, it's a cold sore is what that is, or a bed sore. It's one of those pressure pains.
I've been spending so much time horizontally, not doing anything exciting except watching TV that I'm I'm checking for the sores.
Well, I'm glad you don't look like you have them, but God, what a fucking weird time. I mean, you are the thirsty traveler. You're well known around Canada, around the world as a guy that travels the world, tries food, drinks.
I'm losing it, Bob.
Go ahead.
I lost you there. I got the thirsty traveler. I assume you're talking about my epic trips around the world.
Yeah. So you're that guy. Like, I mean, I don't know how many countries you've been to. I don't know where you were recently, but you are on furlough, forced furlough. Guys like you that work in this business cannot go anywhere.
It really sucks. When I learned that I was built to do this kind of work, I related it to being like a sled dog. Mm-hmm. Or like a greyhound. They're never happy unless they're running, unless they're active, unless they're busy. And yeah, this really hammers it home in a different way. I don't like stationary life. I don't like desk jobs. I was supposed to be in Dubai, and that fell through, unfortunately. And normally this time of year, I try and get a trip down to the Caribbean or to Mexico. Last year, I was in Holbox, which is this great hippie town, hippie island. Just north of Cancun, and just seeing the pictures come back up on my social media feeds just realizes how much I miss it. When we were doing Thirsty Traveler in 70 countries around the world, I traveled through the War on Terror, SARS, avian bird flu, liquid and gel bans, the shoe bomber, and I didn't let it faze me because I liked my job and I liked my life experiences so much that was that was one of the things, besides the fact that my liver could go out, I still chose to do the work and do the job. And, knock on wood, now we're dealing with this.
Knock on wood. You can't win. Where did you? Let's go back. I mean, I can't imagine. We got a food and travel blogger. His name's Paul Feinstein. Great guy. Yeah. And he is literally trying to source different ways that he can make money. And he writes for Vanity Fair. He writes for Photo Travel. The dude is like as good as it gets. And I was talking to him last week, and he said, not only is this not my lifestyle, this seriously impinges my ability to make money to support my family. Like, you have no idea, because not only are we all grounded, he said, we don't know when this is going to end.
Yeah. I'm self-employed largely. You know, I'll take on some consultancy projects, some short-term work with various bars and restaurants. I'll do mixology, recipe, cocktail redesigns. I did a couple of those in the fall in Toronto. And, you know, all of that stuff is gone. And I've been fairly successful in my 20 years of being self-employed. And I've never had to go on UI or look for welfare. I've always been able to make it work. And now, you know, I do a lot of private dinners, beer dinners. All of that stuff has gone away. And I'm, for the first time in my life, looking there going, I'm going to have to probably rely on the government and one of these, the Support Relief Fund, I think it's called.
Yeah.
You know, I can't even bring myself to go to the website to learn more about it or to learn how I apply, because it's fundamentally against me. Mm. And what I believe in is, you know, relying on handouts. I don't think most of Canada has any other choice at this point.
Mm. Yeah, great point. You know, is the pride associated with the fact that, you know, we grew up in a time when, you know, it was called Pogie. Don't go on Pogie. Only losers go on Pogie. But
exactly.
This isn't Pogie. This is, you know, live or don't. This is survive or not. Yep. And so guys like you or my girlfriend just applied for the relief program because she lost a ton of work. We lost a ton of clients. Thankfully, we're getting a ton of clients back. But they're going to be different clients, you know, and I think that's some of the change that we're going to see. We're going to see some of the changes in the world where, you know, guys like you that were able to go and do that job are going to have to diversify, you know, and that's what we're finding. We had to go from, you know, being a website that, you know, sends out pictures of people getting run over by runaway tires to, you know, what is the Quarantine Act? What is the Emergencies Act? What does it mean for you? And so you pivot hard, but at the same time, there's no getting away from how it makes you feel filling out a form for a Government of Canada handout.
It repulses me, but, you know, I'm going to have no choice in the next couple of weeks. I guess, what is it, April 6th or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's funny is you're right. We're thinking about things, and we're looking at things, and we're thinking about things differently than we were doing 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I'm noticing, especially more with my girlfriend, people are phoning each other again. They like, texting is down, you know, legitimate physical phone calls are back up. You know, she hates the phone, my girl. And, you know, every night she's talking to 2 or 3 different friends. And at least I have her company physically, you know, in the same house. There's a lot of people out there that are living a solo life, no animals. And I think they're having a really tough go of it. Mm-hmm. And in terms of work, I mean, I'm looking for a court jester position somewhere, but, you know, I got to be able to cheer somebody up somehow.
Well, the shirt does it for me. Explain why you have 3 fucking dictators on your shirt, please.
I'm putting on all my stupid T-shirts while I'm living at home alone, right?
Yeah.
So, but I can make them dance.
Oh, can you ever? Isn't that nice? Huh?
Who's the bigger, gold, silver, or bronze?
Bronze.
And it's a really nice shirt, so I get to. You know, this is as much self-pleasuring as I'm doing right now.
Oh, buddy, nothing feels better than rubbing your Donald Trump and your Putin before bed. Right? There you go. Kevin Brosh is our guest. He is the Thirsty Traveler, at Kevin Brosh on Twitter. For 20 years, he's been traveling. He's no longer traveling. When did you find out that you were grounded? Take me through the process. These are the stories I like, because we've had lots of people on that, like, found out on the plane when they were going on vacation. We had lots of people on who have gone, you know what, I couldn't see this coming, and here's how my life's changed. But when did you start to get the feeling? Were you on the road? Were you in town? When did you start going, hold it, I think we're fucked?
I just come off, and I had another one lined up in the GTA area. But alongside of that, I had a trip to go give a speech and open up a culinary center in Dubai. And it was radio silent throughout the first kind of weeks of COVID. I never really thought about how it would impact on me. I always thought the trip was a go. We had a very detailed, very specific contract, force majeure in there. Like I do a lot of things on handshakes, Dean, still, right? I'm a bit old school in that capacity. You know, you tell me where you want me to be, you tell me how much you're going to pay, I will be there, and then you will pay me. This one was major, and it was, I want to say it was a trip of a lifetime. I've been very fortunate to have many trips of a lifetime. This one was good. This was in the Emirates A380, the Mercedes pickup at home,
Yes.
the first class booth. I could shave on the plane. I could shower on the plane. I could get nude on the plane. They press your clothes. Very James Bond type shit, right?
Yeah.
And the money was sick. And the tie into the Culinary Institute there in Dubai was wicked. And it just went radio silent, and it just evaporated. And the other consultancy work that I had here was with a restaurant chain, like I said, in the GTA, and that was scheduled to start, I guess, the last week of Feb. Mm-hmm. And just as we approached the day, and I started asking more questions, it was just kind of a hold, and it was kind of eerie because, again, like I said, no information is often worse. You know, if you're going to stop talking to me, just tell me you don't want to be my friend anymore. You don't, you know. Yeah. Just go silent and then break up with me for no reason. Give me a reason, you know, and then I can understand it on my terms. And nothing.
Just an answer, something definitive, right? Like, I think that's what everybody's about right now. It's not just the job stuff. It is, you know, tell me what's going on with the health department. It's just new regulations every day. It's you know, a new scare every day. It is a new quarantine order, maybe an Emergencies Act tomorrow. But there's no end in sight. It's kind of weird that way because you can't set your schedule. And for a guy like you or a guy like me with ADHD, that doesn't work for me. I don't know if it works for you.
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm doing bad. Like, you know, when I'm working and a project's coming to an end and I can see the contract date looming, I'll stress sleep at night, and I'll get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'll pace around the house and going like, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? I've been getting through this reasonably well, and I'm patting myself on the back for that because I thought I would have been a much bigger mess throughout all this unknowing and no work lined up for the foreseeable future. And you know, I've been doing all the lame things. I haven't really been pushing myself. I'm some days are better than others, and I'll get out. Like this morning, I was quite active, and I'm having a good day. And other days, it's just flipping through Netflix and going, seeing it. Have you seen Tiger King?
Jesus, dude, I was just going to ask you as soon as you said it. Joe Exotic might be the greatest character in any show ever. And if you haven't watched Tiger King on Netflix, go to YouTube and watch Joe Exotic TV. It is even funnier than actual.
I never even made that leap.
Dude, it's incredible. There's one episode where he's got this overweight woman living in a trailer with her daughter, and she's all hooked on Percocets. And the entire episode is him swearing at her, calling child services, and then trying to kick her out of the park. It might be one of the funniest things you've ever seen because it's all real. Like his entire life was real. And I've put about 10 people onto the Tiger King, and each one of them has said the exact same thing. Episode 5 of the Tiger King might be the greatest episode of a documentary series on a fucking wacko that they've ever seen in their life.
Yeah. I went back the other day, and ABC was running like a 30 for 30, the ESPN series, and watched the whole unraveling of Serena Williams during the U.S. Open, and they went back over her career and how many times she actually, for a champion athlete of her caliber, and you know, we all pretty much love her, she's had some major breakdowns and meltdowns over the years. And so I'm looking for some of that stuff that's going to feed my mind. I'm a nonfiction type of guy, so yeah, fiction doesn't really pull me in. So I'm watching a lot more documentaries. I'm trying to motivate myself to do things. Like I said, some days are better than others, and I know it's a lot worse for other people out there. So whatever I can do, I applaud you for, like, you know, getting up every day and doing this and keeping it moving forward. Because you said your numbers have spiked, right? We're out there looking for positive messaging and information, and we're learning to skate for the first time all over again, right? Or learning how to ride a bike, because we've never had this at our avails. And it's either going to take some of us down or it's going to inspire some people to do new stuff.
And you know what? I appreciate that, but I think I think in a time like this, and we've never seen it. I've never been involved in a pandemic. I've never owned or operated a business in a pandemic, and I think the closest you can get to is 9/11. And I was on the radio when 9/11 happened, and I was on the radio until 2 o'clock when 9/11 happened, and no one had phones when 9/11 happened. And I remember sitting there at 11 o'clock in the morning. My boss called me, goes, "Go ahead and smoke in the studio if you want to smoke." I'm like, "Oh, fuck, thank God." Because I've been on the air since 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're trying to capture what's going on and calm people down. So we're on the radio till 2 o'clock, and I get up at 11 o'clock just to stretch my legs to go grab my cigarettes out of my bag. And there was this lineup of people, because we had speakers outside at the edge. So there was this lineup of people that was probably 100 people deep, no one on Yonge Street at like 11 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't quite get it. Like, I'm like, how is this going to change the world? Like, I'd never seen 4,000 or 5,000 people die. And back then, the numbers they were tossing around was like 20,000 people. And there were fucking planes coming from the CN Tower and all the hysteria. Because we live in a much more connected society, we get to see this stuff in real time. And so now we're in this new reality where, the Emergencies Act apparently is going to be enacted at some point. The Quarantine Act was issued yesterday, saying that everybody has to stay at home if you've been in a different country, or if you're coming in from a different country for 14 days, you cannot move, you have to stay home. And then I was looking at the Quarantine Act, and I don't know if you know this, not to freak people out, but if you get quarantined, let's say Kevin Brosh, thirsty traveler, comes back from that trip from Dubai, you come back, you're excited to see everything, right? So you're really happy, you're off the 380, you had a fresh shave, really pumped. As soon as you get off the plane, they take you to the closest army base, and you stay there for 14 days. And if you choose to leave, they will arrest you, and you will spend up to 3 years in prison and be fined $1 million. Like, they're not fucking around. And so, this is Contagion-esque. This is a movie. And learning how to be, as opposed to learning how to exist, learning how to really live in this time, that's going to be everybody's challenge. And when you said something, and I loved what you said, because it was honest. Not a lot of people are. I'm not. Some days I'm doing great. Some days I'm not. And fuck, thank you for saying what everybody else is thinking.
Well, one of the jokes of Thirsty was, it was the job that your guidance counselor never told you about, or the guy with the greatest job in the world. I get to travel the world, drink, maybe get a bit slippy on camera, and get paid and get treated like a king. When I can relate it down to the lowest common denominator. I was a court jester. And I'm very good at that. And I love sharing other people's stories and meeting people. And that was the thing. The show wasn't about me as much as it was about the people that I got to hang out with and connect with. And we lost a lot of that in the last couple of weeks. And it resounds big on me, because I can't do what I was sort of trained to do. Going back to 9/11 for a second, I was on the third plane out of Toronto, flying to Calgary on the 9/11 happened on a Tuesday, as I can remember. The Toronto Film Festival was going on, so we had a lot of international foreigners stuck in Toronto. They canceled the film festival for 2 days, and then they brought it back because they realized these people need, something to take their minds off.
Distraction, yeah.
Yeah, not that they were sitting there buying films. They just needed to sit in a dark room. And I went to go see a film on the Sex Pistols, documentary, and there was a really big black gentleman sitting a couple seats down from me, and he was crying. And I knew what it must have been, and of course it was. He was from New York. He had no contact with his family or friends or his business. He was in Toronto alone, and he just didn't know what the heck was going on. Mm-hmm. So I was on the third domestic flight out of Toronto on the Thursday morning, and I had a seat on Air Canada in the executive class. And
you bragging?
No. But it was, it's a small
little bit. I do. When I tell people, like, hey, listen, I came home. Oh, by the way, I sat first class.
They don't paint on the domestic flights until once you get up in the air. So, but we were all sitting in the class, and the plane was fairly full because it was the first time that people were allowed to travel in a couple of days. And I'll be honest with you, this Middle Eastern gentleman who was sitting in the executive class, got up and went to the bathroom once the seatbelt sign was off. In executive class, the bathroom is right up near the pilots, right? And the cockpit. And he was in the bathroom for a really long time. And you could almost feel the weight of the 12 to 15 people of us sitting in executive class, who all were Caucasian, unfortunately, except for this one gentleman. And like, we're all looking at each other, right? And you know, it's because it's still fresh.
We don't know anything. No, like, this is the first experience we've had with any of that terrorism business, really.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's been 5-7 minutes now, and we have no clue what's going on.
He had to prove.
He comes out of the bathroom. He was just taking a shit.
Yeah.
Like every one of us. He was just taking his morning shit.
Yeah.
But I felt so criminal.
Yeah.
In the thought process, and I looked around. I almost wanted to, like, how dare you trick me into that feeling that could be something other than it wasn't. He was just shitting, you know.
That shit scared me so bad. That was the worst shit anybody's taken, and I didn't even smell it. But there's this general feeling. You know, I remember when the Wuhan crisis started in Wuhan, and I'm not calling it the Chinese virus or the Wuhan virus, it's COVID-19. When the whole thing started, and you would see people outside with masks on, and these masks that they would have, you'd go, oh, stay away from that person. But that's the person you want to get closest to, because that person's not spreading any disease. And we don't realize that. You know, the stereotypes that are involved with where we are now and breaking those stereotypes down, this is a fucking flu. This is a disease. This is a virus. This is a virus that one of our writers, Gonzo, said was leaked out of a Wuhan lab, and the professor at Rutgers said, yeah, it probably was, not on purpose. Someone probably took it out of the lab, and that's why this whole thing started. But I still don't blame China. I still don't, you know, I have no ill feelings towards people in that part of the world.
Well, we got some guy doing it for us.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Hang on, the wrong guy.
Yeah, I hate him so much. But I wonder what we learned through this whole process too. You know, I think we've learned to not be partisan. I think we've learned to maybe put our stereotypes in our back pocket for now, and at the same time, you know, learning how, and I referenced this earlier, man, and had I not been able to grow up over the past few years, I don't know if I'd be saying this, but learn to really live in the moment, learn to only control what we can control, learn to understand, learn and appreciate where things are, and get as much information as you can, because anxiety is born out of fear, and that fear is fear of the unknown. It always is. And so if you can inform yourself as a person, and if you can try to understand where you are, and then if you can make a difference in your own day and share that with people, that's where it's at, you know, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here, which is why I wanted to have you on this podcast, because one of the things that we're missing someone that has the ability to give people an understanding of what it's like to barbecue Brussels sprouts.
Ah, you saw my photos.
Yeah, I did. Or what it's like to make do with what you have, and to be able to share his life and his information with people. And you have a very specific skill set, not unlike Liam Neeson in all the Taken movies. And we would love for you to do that with us. And I know we're going to talk about that after, but you know, even just the fact that I saw your wings on Twitter last night at Kevin Brosh, who's the Thirsty Traveler and joins us, about how you barbecued the wings and you barbecued your Brussels sprouts. And I'm like, at least that's fucking fun. The dude went outside and had fun doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice enough day. I barbecue through the winter, you know, not on the extreme days, but if you can get out there, I find it really, you know, I take a glass of wine out there with me. It's quiet time. You're not in the house. TV is pretty much my best friend when I'm home. I keep it on as a background distraction, like the radio or podcasts. You know, but it's always there. And when I'm outside, I'm on my own, and it's my own little zen. And it's not an overly fancy barbecue, but it works. Like it's a Babe, it's a Weber. You know, it's. I do charcoal. Used to do gas, and I went back to old school. Gives you another 45 minutes out there to just, you know, let your mind just run through things. And we're clearing out the freezer. I'll be honest with you. The sprouts were fresh, but the wings were frozen. So we're taking this time to not go shopping and get some of the stuff out of the freezer, which is really nice. And I've heard it echoed from a couple of different people that, now we have the time to do better cooking and more cooking and treat ourselves better. We have the time. We're not running home from work and just trying to slam something frozen into the microwave.
Yeah.
To take a pre-made sauce, which we all have in the cupboards or in the fridge, and make your own from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
The tactile nature of cooking is really amazing. It's really soothing. I dare say it's almost meditative.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be able to put together a really nice homemade meal in a way that, people that live in condos maybe don't have that opportunity. The upstairs roof where the barbecues are, the shared barbecues aren't open yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find I take a lot of solace from like homemade food from scratch. We've been talking about doing more baking, learning better dough recipes, making our own bread. And those are some of the things that we can be doing in this time. Lord knows
Right.
we have enough hours in the day.
Yeah, that's the thing, and everything that we do is, what's that?
My bags are gone. I don't know what's going to
Well,
happen.
no.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know what's going to happen when we go back to normal. Right? The bags are going to come back.
Yeah.
Do you actually think, I mean, I know you're no Kreskin. You're a smart man. You've recently grown up, I hear. Word on the street.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Do you think we're going to go back to what we know as a normal?
No, I don't. And some caveats with the answer, too. I had this conversation with a buddy of mine, James Sharman from Footy Prime, the podcast. And the problem that I have with answering that question isn't that I think that there isn't a normal, but I think there's going to be a new normal. And the way I explained it and how I see it in my mind's eye is there's going to be a graduation into that new normal. It's not just going to stop and start again. It's not going to be a date in the calendar. It's not going to be May 15th where, the government says, okay, let's do this. Everybody go back to normal. That's not going to happen. What I think is going to happen for people I've talked to at Major League Baseball, people I've talked to at the NHL, people that I've talked to at Major League Soccer, people that I've talked to in the NFL, government officials that I've talked to inside and outside the government over the past, I don't know how long, probably 2 weeks now, is this is going to be a very gradual process. So let me explain that. What does it mean, Dean? Good answer. Here's a question. Good answer. The answer is if, let's say we get a 72-game season in Major League Baseball, I don't think you're going to see fans.
No.
You're going to see the games played. No. Let's say a festival, Osheaga, pushed it back to October, or Coachella, October. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you can get massive groups of people together if you don't know the pathology and the history of where they're from, because that's why we're here. That's the understanding that I have, is that self-isolation is one thing. Social distancing is a totally different thing. And you're not going to go one day into driving this pandemic into the ground, because it's not as most flus, and I think you know this, and I'm not a doctor, and neither are you. I tried to pretend to be one when I was like 21 in university.
How'd that go for you?
Really good, actually.
Good.
Yeah, really good. Whatever. Anyway, but I do understand how we're going to have to be able to graduate into a new normal. I don't know what that new normal looks like, with the exception of two things. One, we're not going to be in places like we were before with massive groups of people, at least not for a very long time. And that's my understanding. Number two, I think you're going to see a whole bunch of people and workers and employers take advantage of this social distancing thing by decreasing their footprint, getting rid of office spaces, having people work at home.
Yeah, I thought this was a boring conversation. I totally agree with you. Go on.
You thought the whole conversation till this point was boring?
No, no. I was going. This is going to teach. Like that footprint is going to decrease, and people that are going to get through this doing their job from home, the home office is going to become I think a new significance in a lot of people's lives, whether they like it or not. I mean, I know some people that can work from home very productively, and I know other people that just use it as an excuse to walk around the house and do nothing, because nobody's watching them.
Yeah, and that's why people demanded other people to come to work all the time. Pardon me, I'm vaping a thing on the vapor now.
I'll drink.
That's what I do. It's what I do. You drink, I vape. Let's take a vape break. I think that people are going to take advantage
All I
of
know
it.
is that when this is, I think it's going to teach some companies how to do the job differently.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can, if you have a 50,000 square foot office space that you can cut down to 20,000 by having people work at home and invest some of that leasing, but that's going to cause another. Then we're going to have these office towers in downtown Toronto empty. Around the world, there's too many questions. You ask one question and two more come to fruition.
Mm-hmm. What's work going to look like? Well, I think there's going to be downsizing. What is that? Then the next two questions is people or location. What kind of infrastructure do you have? What kind of safety policies? Think about this. Every single, the Ministry of Labor and every single business is going to have to redo their safety policy. They're going to have to redo their health care. This is so far reaching at this point, and it's a good thing it is. Because once in a while, the world has some kind of magical reset. It really does. Whether it's the Spanish flu, which is fucking terrible, killed 27 million people, whether it's this one, which is supposed to kill millions of people, we're forced to look at a number of things. One of them is greed. How did we get here? The other one is cleanliness. Are we clean? Are we doing what's in everybody else's best interest where ourselves are concerned? The other one is infrastructure. Our society has gone so far away from that industrial mentality and that worker construction mentality, all the way into an AI mentality or a tech mentality where we're trying to find ways to do things on a bigger scale with less work because we've got the ability to do that through tech. Even something like this. I don't have to drive to your house. You don't have to drive to mine. We've got our friend Derek Burney, who's magically twisting knobs back, and this is a quality show. This is the same tech that they're using on Live with Kelly and Ryan.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, back in the day, I would have to drive down to the edge to come on your show.
Sure.
Nobody wanted to do it over the phone. I mean, you've done it that way, but you're losing the engagement. You're losing you're losing that something. That's je ne sais quoi. Do you remember Y2K? It was going to be the death of us all. Yeah. I actually built an addition onto the back of my house in that fall of 1999 with a wood-burning stove, because that was a big kind of blinding.
Were you that worried? Were you freaked out by Y2K that you put an addition on your house?
I did it for a significance. I didn't do it. I just had to pay for it.
Yeah, but still, you paid for it just because you heard the computers wouldn't be able to roll over the extra digit.
Do you remember January 1st, 2000?
Yeah, nothing happened.
It was a beautiful sunny day. It was like 3 or 4 degrees, but the sun was stinking shining. I woke up. One of the first 5 songs I heard was Beautiful Day by U2 on the Edge, right? And we went for a walk, got a coffee at Starbucks, and it was like, we're here. We didn't go anywhere. And it was over. It overed quickly. I don't think this is going to over quickly. I think you're right. There is a new normal, and we don't know what it's going to look like. But like I said, I'm going to have to take a holiday after this because my September and October we got Coachella, Osheaga, we got the Masters, we got the Indy 500. I mean, I'm going to be booked.
None of those things are happening.
I don't.
Yeah, just so you know.
Thing that you want to see happen, like.
It's funny. I'm so fucking low key and easy to please. One thing I do miss is I miss Raptor basketball. I would love for the NBA to play a shortened playoff schedule in a controlled environment with no fans. I would fucking love to see baseball players play some baseball. Maybe it's a 74-game series, 74-game season with a shortened playoff schedule. I don't really give a shit if fans are in the stands or not, but I would like that to come back so that we can have a distraction, because this is all that we're talking about. This is all we're dealing with. This has united the world in such a big, bad way that we have nothing but time to support each other and talk about these things. We've got nothing but time to be able to say, hey, what are you looking forward to? How are you dealing with this? What do you think the world is going to be like after this? And I think those conversations are really healthy. And if we don't start having those conversations with people, then we're stuck in the great unknown. And the great unknown is no place to be. And that, as I said before, fear of the unknown is exactly where anxiety begins. And that is the thing. Anxiety that leads to depression is someone that has anxiety and someone that has dealt with it, and someone's on the other side of it and has understanding of how we have to move forward individually, is knowing that we can't control this. Like, that's the fucking hard part for people, is how do we control this? We can't. We cannot control the outcome. The only thing that we can control is getting off our ass, making some jerk wings on the barbecue, taking a picture of it, sending it out, and some idiot named Dean sees it and goes, "Oh my God, Kevin Brosh, I want to talk to him because his life has been ruined."
Yeah, one of the things I used to love, like when I'd come back from a trip and experience around the world, is all the storytelling that goes on. You know, the stuff that happened on camera and the stuff that happened behind the scenes when we're sort of living as global citizens. And I think, you know, an event like this, of this scale, teaches us that we are more the same than we are different. You know, we have different religions, we have different politics, we have different customs, we eat different food. We all agree on a calendar, more or less, right? A 7-day calendar, of which we work 5, 6, 7 days a week. And on our limited time off, we want to wash the car, we got to wash our clothes, we got to go grocery shopping, we want to hang out with friends and family, right? Play some sports, watch some TV, sing some songs. In so many ways,
I'm like 2 for 6 of those, by the way.
What's that?
I was like 2 for 6 with all of those that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, like be by myself, watching TV. That's where you got me. The other ones, I'm good.
But you know, we're all affected. It does, and you know, I think people are watching more news than maybe ever before. I'd like to think they are. You know, just to keep up on what's going on, regardless of what platform you're watching your news on. I'm still kind of old school. I go to cable, right? Like I go to television. I'll get some online, obviously.
American Canadian news. What are you watching?
I'm watching BBC and CTV. I don't really go to the South. I don't really go to CNN. I mean, I'll flip by it. Funny how certain stories have changed in the last month.
Isn't it?
With the man. Where's that impeachment gone?
Had they impeached that fucker, I bet you, seriously, had they impeached that son of a bitch, I highly doubt this would be as we would be staring, or they would be staring down the barrel of some of the losses that they're staring down. And I don't know if I told you the story, maybe I did early on in the podcast. They were interviewing a doctor on Sky News, doctor out of New York that just finished a 43-hour shift. And he said they were checking people in, intubating them, which is putting them on ventilators, and leaving to go do the next person that came in with coronavirus after they tested positive. They would come back 20 minutes later and that person would be dead. He said it's apocalyptic, you know, and that story is supposed to scare people. A 7-month-old in New York has it. A 17-year-old in Washington just died of it. A 21-year-old just died of it. It doesn't have, and this should scare people. I'm not saying this because watch out everybody, but fucking watch out everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't have bias, because that's no information for us. We thought it was only for, you know, the elderly that were going to be affected, and the young would kind of see through it, but it's not 100% valid.
No, it's not, and because of that, I think that's why there are those extra precautions, to the point where you're seeing Canada move massive military assets around the country, you know, and just in case. Today in Montreal, there are a ton of military on the streets of Montreal, and they've told the people of Montreal the reason why is because we're testing new gear. Now, I'm no fucking moron. Why would they test brand new gear on the streets of Montreal during the pandemic? Yeah. So reading between the lines and trying to understand this and really kind of get this full perspective of where we are and why we're here is really important. So, and again, it leads to some relief for people. So I've encouraged people to do that. Kevin, what is it that that you're doing for the rest of the day? Can you take me through the mundane? Because the mundane is what I like to hear about. I want to know, do you have to vacuum? Do you have laundry? What have you pulled out of the freezer for this evening? What are you drinking today? You're the thirsty fucking traveler. Let's get into this.
Okay, so as soon as I get off the air with you, I'll probably send you a thank you email. I'm going to refill my glass of Pinot Grigio.
Yeah, good one.
Most of the chores of the day have been done. The laundry isn't going to go in till after 7 because
why?
Because that's when the usage charges go down on the laundry. Do you not know that? Do you do your own laundry? You have somebody do
Yeah.
it?
No, I do my own laundry 24/7. I don't get to the usage. It's like the dishwasher. They say don't run the
I know.
dishwasher until after 8.
Yeah, same deal. So we'll do the laundry. Talking about doing either fajitas or nachos because we have the avails in the fridge, and those are time intense builds when you're prepping all the different ingredients, and there's a nice tactile quality like I talked to earlier. Got a really nice sharp knife. Got a cutting board that I only pull out on. I got a special occasions cutting board. It's really weird. Like I'll just normally sometimes use one of those plastic ones.
Yeah.
But I got this nice wooden bamboo cutting board. It's probably 12 pounds.
Sure.
So I'm going to do most of the work on that, probably starting around 4 or 5. I would have to
put on music when you do this. I put on some jazz when I'm upstairs, just some nice light jazz or big band music, which may come as a surprise to people.
I kind of like that. I would probably go a bit more Motown, but or Buddha Lounge, like Buddha Bar stuff.
Yep.
I don't have a set yes or no answer to that. Some days yes, some days no. Some days it's just the TV in the background, depending on. I don't know what it depends on. I would barbecue again. I would keep the barbecue alive, but I don't have any charcoal, which would mean I'd have to walk over to like Metro or Food Basics and get some. And I'm not adverse to going out like that. And I practice all the safe things, washing your hands and staying away from other people in the store. And I don't think I've never personally felt like I was a threat to anybody in those situations. I'm noticing the 6 feet between in the queue lines at the LCBO and the beer store, and
they're using a new one now. It's called 6 feet apart or 6 feet under.
Oh, I like that. Hey, where did flatten the curve come from?
Great question.
Or plank
the curve means to straighten the curve out. So if you look at the curve of infection rates, it goes like this in pretty much every country. Yeah. The goal is to go like this, right?
Yeah.
Not to go all the way up and come straight down.
Yeah.
So when your job in helping flatten the curve is doing exactly what you're doing, which is, if it's going like this, there we go. Kevin, you, the thirsty traveler, decides to stay home for a day. And then you wash your hands all the time. And then you don't go to fondle the produce at Loblaws. And if you get
That's one of my favorite pastimes.
Fondling fruit. And then if all of Canada does that, that thing starts going like this, and then we start going like that. That's called flattening the curve, and individually you're responsible to do that.
I guess my bigger question, because I kind of understood that, was who was the spin doctor that came up with that, and did they trademark the shit?
Great question.
Because I'd never heard it before.
Me neither.
This pandemic, and then then it was like, oh, we got a nice soundbite, flatten the curve. And then Trudeau, you ever watch that show, Trudeau in the Mornings? Comes on around 11.
No.
It's a great talk show.
Oh, Trudeau. Trudeau in the morning where he gets interviewed.
All he needs, he just needs a little like tagline in the movie. Trudeau in the mornings. Bring up a lower third.
Yeah, the lower third of Justin Trudeau. Wife has COVID.
Then he started using. I think he was the first one that I heard use plank the curve, which I understand because remember that phase, planking.
Yeah. Are you doing any exercise, by the way?
You know what? I'm not, and I'm actually mad at myself for it. I'm walking, but this would be. I was going to do a Zumba class yesterday at lunch, and I was like, I have a friend that is a Zumba instructor, and so she's doing on Zumba.
Yeah, but all the things you can do, you're going to do a fucking Zumba class.
I want to find out more about it. See, I'm learning. I'm taking this time to learn myself. But I guess the late morning glass of Pinot Grigio made me say F Zumba.
Well, what time is it? It's 2:30. What time did you start drinking today? Like during this, and I want you to be honest, not just today, but when do you start drink? Like, have you had a day this week where you're like, it's 8:30, might as well make a Caesar?
Yeah, Saturday. Saturday would have been that day. Normally it's around 3 or 4 when all of the responsibilities of the day are sort of done.
Yeah.
I normally do this. It's part of the lore of the thirsty traveler. I get called out so many times. oh, you were wasted in that episode, or I met you at this event, you were drunk. And I was like, I was on medication. I actually wasn't drinking at that
Oh,
event.
shut up with the medication thing. That's such a lie because everybody says the same thing. When every single time a celebrity gets caught with a, or every single time someone acts like a tool in public, they go, I was on meds and I had like one beer. That's it, one beer.
I drink on meds. This is just, I got no issues with that. I got no issues with that. I get my liver checked twice a year.
Yeah.
And
how's it doing?
I'll be honest with you. I've always tried to balance the amount I drink with exercise in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And trying to be physically active and try and leach it out of your body. And I take milk thistle. I understand I'm in a high risk group. But twice a year for 21 years, I've been getting my my liver tested, not for my benefit, for the network's benefits, for E&O insurance, right? So like if I go south, if I go down, they're covered. You know, it's not to take care of my personal health; it's for them.
Well, that's nice. So you really don't care about you; you're doing it for everyone else. That's selfless, right there.
Well, I'm doing it out of spite. But I'll be honest with you, the liver can regenerate itself.
Yeah.
And mine hasn't done too bad. Mine hasn't done too bad for the amount of experiences and the amount of late nights and the amount of drinking that I've done over the course of a life. You know, I don't know what it's like with smoking and vaping and shit like that, but I've been pretty lucky. I think, once again, it validates, at least to me in my head, in my simple brain, that I was born to do this job, and I'm doing a good job. And that's what I say to myself in the mornings when I look into the mirror.
Do you still get hangovers? Yes or no?
No, not really. No, but again, I'm not.
It.
I'll be honest. Like, you know, I'll have like a bottle and a half of wine today, but it's controlled and it's over, you know, an extended period. And I'm always drinking water. I try and go 1 for 1, or for every 2 glasses of wine, have a glass of water. You know, I'm constantly trying to flush the system. And if again, something that was taken from me was like steams and saunas, you know, not for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I love sweating everything out of your system. I love physical activity. I love taking care of my body, eating good food, you know, but the sweating, getting it out of your system, you know, getting the toxins out is crucial, I think, to longevity in life. You know, and you see it in Asian cultures, you know, you see it in Nordic cultures. So it's a principle that I picked up as I was traveling around the world and seeing how other people choose to live their life. And we know
what, those bathhouses, probably no one has liver cancer. There's ones downtown.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't know stats on that, or if they even keep them. I don't know why they would, but you know, we know what trans fat acids and fast food and pop and sugar, you know, due to the system. Like I don't drink pop. I'll have a ginger ale once a month, maybe, you know, or some tonic or some soda in a mixer when I'm having a cocktail. But you know, you try and live as good as you can. For the amount I drink, I don't get a belly. You know, I'm coming in around 165. You know, for my height, that's pretty average. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
It's a very, very, very serious question. Have you seen the video of the bald guy in the Tim Hortons drive-through spraying down his coffee before he touches it with hand sanitizer? Have you seen that?
No, but I'll look it up.
I'll put it in the camera. We put this out at Dean Blundell on Twitter yesterday. I want you to look at. I want you to see this because what you and I are talking about health. We're talking about mental health. This is when someone needs to be fucking committed to an institution. Have a look at this. This is something else.
Holy shit! Are you kidding me?
No, man.
Now, did she have gloves on?
No.
Oh, so she did have gloves on. Okay.
Oh yeah, she, you know, like the Tim Hortons chick had gloves on. No. This guy has been just a fucking rocket surgeon on our Twitter feed, because look at what he does. He sprays it down, then he just touches the top, and he loves these people at Tim Hortons so much he just chucks it right in there like some kind of fucking moron. And then someone honks behind him and he tells them to go fuck themselves right here. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Holy Christ.
Is that overkill, or should we be hosing down all of our drive-through items?
I mean, I'm not against them. I haven't had the want or the need. That's more of a indicator of, I think, mental stress and anxiety. You know, that guy has let it get to him in the worst possible way. That's overkill. You agree, right? Yeah.
Well, I just think he's a cock.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's an idiot. He's not doing any good for anybody out there. You know, well, it's fresh content for your website, I guess.
Yeah, it sure is. That thing has been viewed like 83,000 times because people can't believe how other people are acting. People can't believe how other people are going about their business, right? People don't understand that if you make a coffee at home, you don't have to hose the one down you get at the drive-through.
Yeah. Well, maybe he should get hit by a tire, like you said you used to show.
Still the greatest online video you've ever seen is this dude walking down the street and like a massive truck tire. You can see it coming from like 400 meters. It's coming, and boom, it takes him out. And I showed it to my kids, and my girlfriend was like, "Why are you showing them people being killed by runaway tires?" I'm like, "Do you not understand how the world works right now? Do you not understand the internet? Have you been on the internet lately?" That's what people want to see. But they also want this kind of stuff. They want to hear from somebody who drinks for a living and how he tries to stay healthy. Here's a question for you. And again, a very simple question. If you were to do this all over again, and I know you love your job, if you were to do this all over again, would you do anything differently? Being a thirsty traveler, would you have become a lawyer? Would you have become a mathematician? Is this what you've always wanted to do?
Yeah. I wanted to play hockey when I was growing up, right? I idolized Keon and Sittler and McDonald and Salming, and I didn't have the height. I played Major B, and I got checked into the boards behind the net and broke my femur, and that was in around grade 12, grade 13. I think it was grade 12. And I realized I was never going to be an NHL hockey player.
Yeah.
You know, I liked playing, but I knew I didn't have. I was fairly talented. I was just too small. I was fast, and I had no slap shot. And my dad was an OPP officer. And when I was born, he got off the bike. He was a motorcycle officer based out of Whitby.
Yeah.
And when I was born, he became a desk cop down at Registration Branch on Queens Quay, which is now a Loblaws, right by the old RPM.
Yeah, where the government was. Yeah.
And I saw him go to work every day in a suit and tie, and I remember quite honestly saying, like, it's cool that he's a cop, you know, but I never want to wear a suit and tie to a desk job. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I just knew it wasn't that. Mm-hmm. This has been, you know, I'm in a bit of a down right now. You know, I've had 20 years at the friggin' top. You know, that's a career. That's a lifetime. I wouldn't change anything. What I would change, and this is like really personal, it maybe doesn't answer your question. I would have stayed in tighter contact with all of the beautiful people that I got to meet while traveling the world. Mm-hmm. I found that most of the trips that I would take, you depart from Canada, or I was living in New York City for a while. I depart in New York City. I'd go away. I'd do the job, and I would come back before I would go away and go somewhere else. I wouldn't kind of piggyback. There's only a few occasions where we piggybacked Belgium on France, on Germany. You know, so it was always you come back, you kind of reset, you get a couple days back home, and then you go away again.
Yeah.
But I just found that I wasn't really good at keeping in contact with people. You know, they live as a memory for me, and I have them on DVD and I have them on the internet, and they're great friends. And there have been times at conventions, Tales of the Cocktail in New Orleans, where I run into a lot of these people that I've been privy to interview and share a week of their life with. And that's my fault that I didn't stay in better contact with them, because, you know, at times like this, I really miss a lot of them. And it's not like I couldn't reach out to them. Mm-hmm. But it's been 12 years since I've seen you, God damn it. wings.
Yeah.
So I would have invited you over last night.
Not allowed to do that. Can't come to your house.
Oh shit!
I feel the same way. I'm not. I've never been very good at keeping in touch with people, and I've never been very good at. I'm not a thoughtful person. I'm just one of those guys. It's nice to people. You run past an experience, and you just kind of chalk it up to it being what it is.
Yeah, and I know I'll see and talk to you again, and,
Yeah.
and it's like no time has passed. So that's a plus, I guess. But sometimes you do want to stay in closer contact. I think that's maybe what this taught me, that I need to maybe reach out a bit more than just being reached out to, because I was always very fortunate getting asked to do things. People would always come to me. People will always want a favor or ask a request. And I was very accommodating in all those situations, but I never had to, it never went the other way.
Yeah.
It was never me going to them. It was never me looking for a handout, like we talked about with the emergency fund, So I there's some new learning that has to go on in my head. I wanted to ask you, right? Because we're doing is talking about me. We're not talking about you. What does a day in your life look like right now? Like, how long are you in your office? How long are you in front of the microphone? How long are you planning for tomorrow? Like, are your days lengthened or have they shortened?
It's funny because I had a great job when I was on the radio for a very, very long time, and you get there at like 3:30 in the morning, and towards the end of my career, 5:30, 6, and end of my radio career. But I understand the value of work, and I understand the value of humility, and I understand the value of having to do the little things to feel good about yourself and have pride. So typically a day of mine, I get up at about 8:30 now, which is incredible because I used to get up so fucking early and I love it. I go downstairs.
You got no bags either.
Oh, dude, you should have seen me yesterday. I looked like human garbage. But I go downstairs, I make a coffee. After I make a coffee, I sit down and I check our numbers. I look at the stuff that people posted the night before. I check for spelling mistakes, all that stuff. That's at about 9:30, 10. I'll go grab a shower, and then I'm downstairs again, and we blog. We talk about what's going on. We assign stories and posts, help people podcasts. We do about 3, 4, 5 podcasts a day now. And it is literally till last night I was up till 2, which is great. And then you're up at 8 again and you do it again. So it's like an 18, 19-hour day, but I understand the value of work. I understand the value and the importance of, you made mention of it before. I never really got the value of people before. I got the value of what people were capable of in how it helped me. But I never understood the value of psychological reciprocity, which is how can I help other people get to where they're going and bring people together in a like-minded way so that, we strengthen numbers, we can rely on each other and treat each other like human beings. I said this before we got on the air. I remember a day and a time when I would get to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and there would be a carafe of hazelnut coffee with sweetener and cream on the side waiting for me next to my computer. Everything was set up that I had asked to be set up from the night before. I would walk in, I would put a show out, and I would walk out at 10 o'clock. And I would do that every day. That's a fucking 3.5, 4-hour workday. Sure, and you're prepping all the time, but I had lost my understanding of what it meant to actually work, what it meant to actually be kind to people, what it meant to actually not live an entitled lifestyle. And I think in that way, this has been my daily routine now for a long time because we've had this blog up and the podcast network. We've got nine podcasts. We've got 3 million users this month. And I'm accountable. We've got anchor clients now, and being able to motivate people around me is really important. So that's also part of my day, emailing guys and saying, hey, how you doing? What are we working on today? Is there anything I can help you with? So, the human perspective has become so much more important to me than the finished product. And if I'm helping other people get their stuff done, if I'm helping other people do a great job of the things and feel proud about themselves, all my needs get met, all of them. And that's really what life has become for me. Before it was a smash and grab. I was like a fucking radio pirate. I just thought, go out, gross people out, get ratings, which we did for a long period of time, and then go home and count your money. And none of that made me happy. You know what I mean? Like there's a toll taken, not just in times like this, but when you decide that you truly want to be happy, because happiness is what we're all looking for, right? And there isn't happiness in things. I've had lots of things. I've had lots of cars. I've had lots of cottages. I've had lots of money. I've had lots of everything. I've been able to come and go as I pleased my entire life. And when you really have to put work in, when you really have to try, and you really have to take time out to help other people, that's where you find yourself. That's where you find happiness, because there's only one day, and it was taught to me a couple of years ago by a very smart human being. And I think that this is something that everybody should take with them today and take with them every day. And that one thing is that yesterday is toast. Nothing we do, no regret we have will ever make that regret not be a regret again. Tomorrow hasn't been born yet. So there's no way that we can have to worry, or we need to worry about anything that's coming, because we can't control that. There is no definition of what tomorrow is. So truthfully, the only time we all really experience happiness, and listen, I am a fucking psychological sieve, but I do get this. The one thing that we can do is experience happiness right now, today, right here. That's it. This is the only time you're going to experience happiness. If you say there's happiness tomorrow, there isn't, because it's not fucking there yet. Or I wish I was happier then. That doesn't matter, because all the money in the world doesn't get that back. And so my job is to be happy today. And I find that the happiness that I get is from doing things like this, connecting with people, giving people content to watch. And it's a 20-hour-a-day job. And therein lies the fact that I can still shower and get up in the morning and go to work, albeit at home and in an office, and talk to people like you and encourage other people to just look for that happiness today. Don't fucking worry about tomorrow, because it hasn't started yet. That tomorrow shouldn't make you sad. It's like worrying about the tooth fairy coming down and, cheating on your spouse with you. There's no fucking, it's never going to happen. And the one thing, it's true. But there was a study that was done last year, and they studied 1,000 people over the age of 80. And they said, what is the one regret you have in life? One regret. It was just the one. And that one regret that the people had in life is, I wish I would have worried less. And when you and I grew up, anxiety wasn't called anxiety. It was called worry. And it is clinical. It is desperate. It is sad. It is panic. It is all the things that people talk about. And truthfully speaking, there's a plan that's going to happen tomorrow, whether you like it or not. And the only job in that plan that is truly yours is being happy right now. And that takes care of tomorrow. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, and again, you'll practice it better on some days than others. I have so many friends back in the day, which is about a month ago. People would bitch and complain and moan about their jobs.
Sure.
And then the job is taken away from them. And I have like a half a dozen friends who miss the jobs that they were bitching about 3 short weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And it shows the difference in our thinking, Like we would just bitch about our jobs because that's what you're supposed to do, I guess. Mm-hmm. And now these people don't have an opportunity to contribute the way that they were doing before. And it's hopefully, like, the good that comes out of this, hopefully there will be some good that comes out of this, at whatever point, at whatever time, and whether it's personal good, whether it's global good. I wouldn't want to write the thesis on this whole event, but I get lost in thinking about all of this.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. Everybody does. You're in the same boat, and I think that there's comfort there for people that, it's not just 31 or 32 million Canadians. It is 8 billion people that are dealing with the same feelings that we're all dealing with. And so our goal is to try and offer a little bit of hope. We've got a couple of psychologists that are going to come along and help us out too, but that's where you come in. I want you to show people how to grill at home. I want you to share your life with people. I want you to share your favorite beers. Like, if you could right now, desert island yourself with 1 pint and 1 pint only, and you get to have that pint for the rest of the time you're on that desert island, what would it be?
Probably delirium tremens. It's a beautiful beer. And in 2006 and I think 2009 and 2016 it won best beer in the world. There is such a thing as the World Beer Awards. Okay, best beer in the world. They don't just say it; they actually mean it. It's a Belgian beer. It comes in about 9.8%. It is which is high for a beer because most of the beers that we drink in North America are between 4 and 6, and this is 9.8. This plays closer to a wine. Tastes like a beer. Is absolutely delicious. It has a pink elephant on the bottle. You can buy it at the LCBO and at the beer store if you're in Ontario, and you can buy it internationally around the world. It comes from Belgium. It's in a ceramic bottle, and it's unfiltered.
Flip top? Does it have a flip top?
No, it's a but you can't twist.
Okay. Yeah. Pop it open.
You have to bottle open, and it is just a gorgeous beer. The flavors in it are complex. You don't even. I don't have words for it right now. On my Thirsty with a Twist YouTube channel, I have a video of me drinking with one of the executives from the company, and I'll put that up on my social media feeds after this. And if you can get your hands on a bottle, and you know what's really great about this, Dean? I just thought about this. I always tell people when I'm doing a lot of my public speaking, I do a lot of trade shows and I do a lot of county fairs, and we'll cook and we'll drink and we'll do pairings and I'll do beer dinners. I always tell people that delirium tremens, this is ironic, is a beer to drink when you're at home, because you don't want to drink this when you're out in a pub or bar or restaurant because it's so heavy and it sneaks up on you. This is one for the comfort of your own home. You know, 1, maybe 2, 3 at tops if you're a thirsty traveler like me. But that's all you need for a day or an evening. And the dreams that come out of it, I don't know. There's something odd about it. Maybe I'll explore a bit more in the building of this.
Dude, that would be awesome. I would love. We're going to post that video on our site too. Okay. After you talked about it, red wine, desert island, a red wine, tough.
You know, if you ask me this tomorrow, hopefully there is a tomorrow. Of course, there'll be a tomorrow.
Jesus, dude, seriously?
The answer would change from day to day. Right now, I'm thinking something from the south of France or Australia, Coonawarra region. Different types of wine, different styles. Haven't really decided what we're having for dinner yet tonight. Neither of those actually go really well with Mexican food. I might go with an Australian Shiraz. But again, that answer is going to change tomorrow, and it could change in 6 hours.
Okay. What about Gallo? Ernest and Julio Gallo. What's the best 7-Eleven wine you can get?
I don't. So yeah,
it's a joke.
Normally,
the best shit wine. Like if you're going to say, hey, honey, you go, and I don't want you to spend any more than $4. What's the best one?
You can't do that in Ontario. You can do that in California with the $2 chuck, they call it. I think the best bottles of wine that you can get in these parts anyway run about $8 or $9. And typically I would go for something from Portugal. I'd go with a family name.
Matus?
No, not Matus. I don't think there was a Mr. Matus. I would avoid anything with a kangaroo on the bottle. I don't like talking negatively about things. If I don't have something nice to say, I typically try and practice just don't say it.
Sure.
So I'll leave it at that. But you can do way better than the kangaroo wine. There are some good Australians, but they're a little bit pricier. Something from Portugal or Spain or Italy. They got some really good value-priced wines. Typically don't look for an animal on the bottle. I would look for a family name. I think because then there's some accountability behind the brand. Versus, you know, if you see a frog or a little doggy or a kangaroo on the bottle, I don't know what those have to do with wine. They're made purposely to be more inviting. That's a marketing and advertising department that's making your wine, not a winemaker who's making her wine or his wine that are putting the family name on the bottle because that's volumes.
Liquor.
Spirits,
liquor.
They don't like hearing it around this house, but there's a lot of ingenuity you can have with vodka. If you buy a really
Why don't they like hearing it around that house? What's wrong with vodka?
When the bottle opens, it doesn't close.
That's why I don't drink anymore, actually, because my girlfriend would bring home a bottle of vodka because she would have a vodka soda, and the next morning then she'd get up, she's like, I bought this yesterday and had one drink. Why is there like 2 ounces left? And I'm like,
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm
really my preference is for gin and tequila.
In the same glass?
No, side by each.
Okay. All right.
Pairing. It's
Okay.
an opening and a pairing. If you can if you can figure out which one is gin and which one is tequila, you got a career in this business.
Okay.
The one thing I do encourage people to do though is I know a lot of Thursday to Sunday drinkers. You know, or maybe Friday night, and they'll go hard all weekend, and then it goes back in the cupboard and it gets locked up on Sunday night, and it's like not again for the rest of the week. And if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. I'm not going to judge, but I find that there are so many opportunities to utilize spirits and liqueur in the kitchen, whether you're cooking, to break down meat, to use in marinades, to use in soups, stews, stocks, even in the dessert department. I have a cookbook.
Oh my God, the Thirsty Traveler's own cookbook. It looks like you've ripped pieces out to make joints with.
It was an olive recipe gone bad.
Oh.
But like Black Forest cake can use cherry brandy just to enhance the flavor of the cherries. And in most of the cases, the alcohol is probably getting burned off more or less through the cooking process.
Right.
But there are opportunities to enhance a meal, you know, rather than put like water or just regular stock into a soup. You can really bring some extra flavor by adding a bit of rum or a tequila, you know, a smoky mezcal. If you're making something for the barbecue and you're making your own barbecue sauce. Mezcal is a country cousin of tequila from Mexico, from the Oaxaca region of Mexico. And it's just got such a great smoke element imparted into the drink, which is 40% alcohol, just like most of our other spirits that we get here. But that can go a long way in really enhancing and just bumping up and pumping up the flavor of a dish. The only way you're going to learn it, I mean, you can learn it through recipes, but the only way you're really going to learn it and own it is by doing it, by taking the time. And now we have the time, more than anything, we have time to teach yourself a new recipe. You know, I have my grandmother's old book. It's upstairs. It's you know, and it's thin and it's got some recipes, and I can't even read or understand all of them. But you know, we used to always go to like the recipe book, and it's so empowering. The day that you don't have to go to the book, you have the confidence in yourself. You've cooked it a number of times. You know, that's when you stray. You go, I don't need the recipe book today because I know how to make it. This recipe now, whether it's passed down from generation to generation, it's now become my recipe. And I may even deviate from the recipe now. I feel so confident. It was like when your parents used to walk you to school. They would walk you the way that you would go, and you would have to stick to that route no matter what. And then when you were allowed to walk to school on your own for the first couple of times, they would follow you, right? Really bad spies, but they would make sure that you were doing what they taught you. And it was only then when you knew how to get to and from school on your own and where you lived and where the school was, that's when you'd start fucking with the plan, right? That's when, well, I might go this way today, or you know, I might go a bit further. I might venture out. I might find a new route.
I might go steal a chocolate bar at the local confectionery.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna walk this girl home to her house.
Yeah, and stay there for a couple hours and play Tune in Tokyo. I might do that.
But I, you know, when you got time on your hands, if you can use it for good and not for idle, I say go for it. You know, like open that barbecue up early. A lot of people like have these dates and restrictions. I'm not going to open it up until May 2-4. You know, that's
Fuck that.
We pull out the barbecue. It's 13 degrees outside today and sunny.
Yeah.
Open it tonight. You still
Okay.
got.
So here's what I'm doing, Kev. Here's what I'm doing. Kevin Brosh, he is a Thirsty Traveler at Kevin Brosh on Twitter. What's your YouTube channel again, please?
Thirsty with a twist.
Thirsty with a Twist on YouTube, Instagram as well, Kevin Brosh, Brauch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to barbecue something tonight.
You going to take a photo of it for me?
I am not only going to take a photo of it, I'm going to post a video of it, and I want you to do the same fucking thing. And we're going to share that with people and how to do it. It doesn't have to be, Scouts, doesn't have to be the whole recipe. But what we're going to do is we're going to post that. We're going to bust open the barbecue. I'm going to take the cover off mine. We're going to give people a meat reason to live. How does that sound?
I kind of like that.
Huh?
You gotta trade. You got. I'm gonna wear that T-shirt next time I'm on your show.
Meat, giving you a reason to live, and we're going to do that. But if I could implore you to join us in some capacity and give people some recipes, talk people through what they're doing, get people active, get people involved in your universe. Explain beers to them like you just explained it to me. These are great conversations to have, and I find that each conversation I have like this, and I seem to just be putting them all online or on a podcast. Each conversation I have like this makes me a little healthier too. So we could do this together.
Yeah, I damn straight. I'll get some stuff to you. I'll get some stuff up on my social media if people want to. Sometimes the hardest thing is to think that people actually want your opinion or people want to follow you. Like, there's some days where I just go, I had a whole guacamole segment ready 2 days ago, and I couldn't do it. And that's my thinking. Guacamole is an amazing thing, and people go, you just mix avocado together. There's way more to it than that, and it's not difficult. You just have to have the time and the passion. Know that it's going nowhere but in your body. Why would you not treat your body better when you have the time, when you have the avails? And you know what? I'll post a dumb guacamole video. I'll do it in the next 48 hours for you. And
fucking right you will.
And but I just got to get over that mental hurdle.
Get past yourself, dude. It's so hard. These are the hardest things for all of us to do, is being able to step out and be uncomfortable. But when you're uncomfortable, that's when change happens. So, and I mean that for everybody.
I'm wearing this shirt right now, but I did it. So if I can wear this shirt, I can make guacamole for the internet.
Oh boy. Okay, so that's your job. I'm gonna barbecue tonight. You're gonna barbecue tonight. I want to see your guacamole recipe for the people. We'll keep people entertained. But Kev, it's been too long, and I'm so thankful to have some time with you today, and thankful that you joined us for this very first YouTube cast on DeanTube. We'll give you the information to upload it. But can we do this again in the coming days? Do you mind?
You can call me, man. My phone's like Batman light up phone. You want to go at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'll go at 4 o'clock in the morning. You want to go at 1 o'clock, we'll go at 1 o'clock. Whatever you want, sir.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers. Kevin Brosh, Thirsty Traveler, Dean Blundell from the Dean Blundell Show. He needs more, so do I. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.
Cheers, guys. Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Jazzy. All right, man. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Stay in touch.
Great job. And listen, you have my phone number, right?
Yeah, I do.